The night my wife came home from her 3-week find herself trip, she thought she was coming back in control. She had no idea her whole life was already starting to fall apart. I'm 34, and I work as a financial analyst for a mid-sized logistics company in Denver. My job is steady, organized, and honestly, pretty predictable. I like it that way. During quarterly reporting, I put in long hours. I plan everything in spreadsheets, and I've never acted like I'm some deeply emotional guy. I'm not cold. I'm just careful. At least that's how I've always seen myself. My wife, Ashley, is 32. We'd been married for 4 years and together for 7. We owned a townhouse together, and our finances were fully combined. We didn't have kids. She worked in marketing for a boutique fitness company, and she loved attention, social events, and being around people all the time. We always told ourselves opposites attract. The trouble started around our anniversary this year. Ashley came up with this idea for what she called a 3-week wedding trip. Not a honeymoon, because that had happened years ago. She said this trip would help us reclaim the romance. According to her, we had become boring, transactional. I suggested a week in Italy because it fit my schedule and my budget. She said that response proved exactly what was wrong with me. In her mind, I reduced everything to logistics. Then she told me she wanted to go alone for 3 weeks through Spain and southern France, so she could find herself and reconnect with her passion. I didn't like the idea at all, but I also didn't try to stop her. We were adults. I told her plainly that if she needed space, I would respect that, but I was not going to chase her emotionally across Europe. Before she left, she told me I was too cold and too logical to fight for her. What she wanted was something dramatic. Tears at the airport, a speech, some big emotional gesture. What she got was me driving her to the airport, helping with her bags, and telling her to text me when she landed. To her, that was proof I didn't care. 3 weeks later, she came back different. Not ashamed, not withdrawn. She came back confident, almost smug. And what followed wasn't some slow unraveling. It was one hit after another, and everyone around us got to watch it happen in real time. She walked through the front door with an expensive-looking tan and a suitcase that seemed a lot heavier than when she left. The first thing she did was look around the living room like she was checking out a rental property. Then she asked why the house smelled like cleaning supplies. I told her I had deep cleaned while she was away. She rolled her eyes and said, "Of course you did. You probably made a checklist." That sharp attitude stayed with her the whole evening. She talked fast. She laughed at her own jokes. She kept putting her phone face down on the counter like she didn't even realize she was doing it. I tried to keep things normal. I made pasta. I asked how the trip was. She gave me those polished highlight reel answers. Beaches, wine, new friends, long talks, healing. All those words that sound important without actually saying much. When I asked who she spent most of her time with, her tone changed immediately. She said I was interrogating her. She said I was proving her point. Too cold, too logical, too focused on facts instead of feelings. Then, with that little smirk she always did when she wanted to push me, she said maybe she needed someone who could actually make her feel wanted. I didn't give her the reaction she was looking for. I just said okay and asked if she was telling me she regretted being married. That set her off. She snapped and said every conversation with me turns into a courtroom. She told me marriage isn't a contract, but I treat it like one. The next morning she slept late and I went to work. By lunchtime I had gotten 3 texts from people who knew us. Not close friends, more like mutual connections. The first text came from my cousin, who follows her online. He asked if we were in an open relationship now. The second was from a coworker I barely ever talked to. He said, "Hey man, everything okay at home?" The third came from Ashley's friend Megan, who had always struck me as fake nice. She wrote, "We should talk when you have time." I didn't answer any of them right away. Instead, I opened Instagram and checked Ashley's story highlights. She had just added a new one called Wedding Trip, like it was some branded content series. Most of it was regular travel stuff. But then I saw a rooftop bar clip where some guy had his hand on her waist. In another one, she was laughing while someone off camera called her babe. She didn't correct it. She posted it herself. My stomach dropped, but it wasn't panic. It was clarity. Like the numbers had finally lined up. When I got home that night, Ashley was in the bathroom taking selfies. Same pose, same expression, over and over. I asked her one question. "Who is he?" She didn't even bother pretending she didn't know what I meant. She kept brushing her hair and looking at herself in the mirror. "Who is who?" she said. The way she said it was deliberate, like she wanted me to spell it out. So I did. I told her I had seen the videos. The rooftop, the hand on her waist, the guy calling her babe. My voice stayed even. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't shaking. I just wanted a clear answer. She turned around slowly and leaned against the counter. Then she laughed. Not nervous laughter, dismissive laughter. "You're unbelievable," she said. "I leave for 3 weeks, and instead of missing me, you're playing detective on Instagram." "I'm not playing detective," I told her. "I'm reacting to what you posted publicly." That was the moment her mask slipped. She crossed her arms and said, "Maybe if you were less cold and less logical, I wouldn't have needed someone who actually made me feel alive." That was confirmation, whether she wanted to call it that or not. So I asked her directly if she had slept with him. She rolled her eyes and said, "Why does everything have to be about sex with you? Maybe intimacy is bigger than that. Maybe emotional connection matters." I asked again, "Yes or no?" She paused for maybe half a second. Then she said yes. And then she added, "Honestly, it wasn't even that big of a deal. It just happened. You were basically emotionally absent anyway." That sentence matters, because that was the exact moment something inside me shut off completely. Not rage, not heartbreak, just complete clarity. I told her calmly that cheating does not just happen. It takes a chain of choices: flights, drinks, private rooms, repeated decisions. She slowly clapped her hands like I had just proved her point. "See?" she said. "This is exactly what I mean. Everything with you is a lecture. No passion, no fight." I told her there wasn't going to be a fight. "If you chose to step outside the marriage," I said, "then I'm stepping out of it too." She scoffed and called me dramatic. Said I was overreacting. Dramatic. After spending 3 weeks with another man. But this is where things started turning in a way she never saw coming. Because while she was busy framing this whole thing as me being emotionally defective, other people had already been watching her wedding trip play out online in real time. And not everyone saw it as some romantic journey of self-discovery. I didn't yell. I didn't slam doors. I just walked into our bedroom and pulled 2 large suitcases out of the closet. She followed me, still talking, still trying to dress the whole thing up as some emotional awakening. "This is why I could never talk to you," she said. "You go straight to logistics, straight to consequences." No nuance. I opened her dresser and started folding her clothes neatly, the same way I always did when we packed for trips. At first, she laughed. She honestly thought I was bluffing. "Stop being ridiculous," she said. "You're not actually kicking me out. This is my house too." And technically she was right. Both our names were on the mortgage. I'm not pretending otherwise. But what's also true is that I handled all the payments from my account, and she transferred me her share each month. It was all traceable, clean, documented. I told her calmly that since she had stepped outside the marriage, I had no interest in living together while we worked through separation. I told her she could stay with one of the many friends who had cheered on her wedding trip. That was the first time her expression really changed. Not guilt, irritation. "You're being dramatic," she snapped. "It was just sex. It didn't mean anything." I zipped the first suitcase. "It meant enough for you to risk the marriage in public," I said. "That's not nothing." Her voice got louder after that. She accused me of punishing her. She said I was proving I had never really loved her. She said I was weaponizing stability. I kept packing. Work clothes, shoes, toiletries. I made sure not to touch anything that was clearly shared property. I wasn't trying to create some scene that would turn into a legal problem later. I know how this stuff works. Forcing someone out the wrong way can create issues. So I told her clearly that she was free to come back later, with notice, to get anything else she needed. I wasn't locking her out of her life forever that night. I was drawing a line. She called me heartless. She said most husbands would fight for their wives. I told her I don't compete with strangers for someone who already made a commitment to me. By the time both suitcases were by the front door, her phone was buzzing. Probably Megan. Probably someone she had already told about the fight. I opened the door and stepped aside. She stood there for a full 10 seconds, waiting for me to break. I didn't. What she still didn't understand was that this wasn't even the most public part of her life coming apart. That part was about to happen, and I wasn't going to have to do anything to make it happen. She grabbed the suitcases with this dramatic sigh, like she was the one being mistreated. On her way out, she said, "You're going to regret this when you calm down." I told her, "I'm calm now." Then she left. I closed the door and locked it. Not out of spite, just habit. After that, I sat down at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. The first thing I did was email a divorce attorney a colleague had mentioned to me the year before. Not because I had planned for this. In finance, you just hear things. I requested a consultation and laid out the situation in plain terms. Shared mortgage, no kids, admitted infidelity. Public social media evidence. Then I took screenshots of everything from her wedding trip highlight. Every video, every caption, the rooftop bar, the beach clip with the same guy showing up in 3 different cities wearing 3 different outfits. Patterns matter. Around 9 that night, my phone started blowing up. Megan texted first. She said Ashley was hysterical and telling people I had thrown her out with no warning, that I was emotionally abusive and controlling. I answered once. I told her Ashley had admitted to sleeping with someone during the trip, and I had chosen not to live together while moving toward separation. That was it. Then my cousin called. Apparently, screenshots from Ashley's stories were already being passed around in our extended family group chat. One of the photos had a caption calling the guy "my European distraction" while he kissed her neck. That did not land the way she thought it would. She had built her audience online, assuming everyone would see it as romantic rebellion. Instead, it looked reckless. A married woman on a trip she herself called a wedding trip, openly attached to another man. Around midnight, her mother called me. She didn't yell. She just quietly asked if it was true. I said yes. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't insult Ashley. I just told the truth. 3-week solo trip. Affair admitted. Public posts. Her mother went silent for a long time. Then she said, "Ashley told us you were distant and unloving." I said, "I may be reserved, but I'm not unfaithful." The next morning I woke up to a text from Ashley. The tone had changed. Less smug, more urgent. "We need to talk because this is getting out of control." I read that message twice. What she meant by out of control was simple. People weren't reacting the way she had expected. She assumed I would stay quiet, take the humiliation, and privately work on the marriage while she sold everyone a story about emotional growth. Instead, I did nothing except tell the truth when someone asked. Within a few hours, updates started coming in from other people. A mutual friend told me Ashley was now claiming the affair happened during a temporary separation that we had both agreed to. That was false. There had been no separation, no discussion. Nothing was open. She had decided she needed passion, and she went and found it. She called me 3 times that afternoon. I let every call go unanswered. Then she sent a long text accusing me of turning people against her. She said I was manipulating the situation by staying calm and making her look unstable. That part almost made me laugh. I wasn't running a campaign. I just wasn't covering for her. Around 5 that evening, she sent me a voice message. I didn't even listen to it. I didn't need theatrics to understand what was happening. Instead, I sent one final text. I told her I had contacted an attorney. I said all communication from that point on needed to be about property or legal logistics. I also told her I expected honesty. If anyone asked me what happened, I would not lie to protect her image. She answered immediately. "So you're just done? Just like that? 7 years and you're done over one mistake?" I stared at that word. Mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is booking the wrong flight. A 3-week affair across multiple cities is not a mistake, it's a choice. Repeated over and over. I didn't debate the word with her. I just blocked her number. Then I blocked her everywhere else too. Not to punish her, to stop the cycle. I know how people operate when they start losing control of the narrative. They escalate. I removed myself from the audience. After that, I emailed her and told her all future communication should go through attorneys. That same night, her European distraction posted a picture of the two of them together in Barcelona. The post was dated 2 days before she came home. He had no idea he was about to become the opening act in her very public collapse. By the next morning, neither did she. I never had to post a single thing for the situation to get worse. By the middle of the week, the European guy figured out he wasn't part of some exciting travel romance. Someone sent him screenshots of our actual wedding pictures. The real wedding. White dress, first dance, the townhouse we bought together. Apparently, he hadn't known she was married. That mattered more than anything. Within hours, he deleted the Barcelona post. Then he unfollowed her. Then he posted one of those vague stories about honesty and transparency in relationships. The only reason I knew any of that was because my cousin, who had now become weirdly invested in all of this, kept forwarding updates without commentary. That night, Ashley tried calling me from another number. I didn't answer. Then she sent an email. The tone was different again. Less defensive, more panicked. She said I had embarrassed her. She said I could have handled this privately. She said people at her job were starting to ask questions because clients had seen the posts and noticed the highlight disappearing. Her marketing career depended on image, and her image was cracking fast. I answered once by email. I told her I had handled it privately. I had not announced anything. I had not contacted her employer. I had not tagged anyone. The only thing I had done was refuse to lie when people asked me directly what happened. She wrote back saying I knew exactly what would happen if I didn't defend her, that my silence had been intentional. Here's the thing. Silence is not aggression, it's neutrality. And neutrality only feels cruel when someone needs you to bend reality for them. By Friday, her mother called me again. This time she wasn't checking facts. She was apologizing. She said Ashley was staying with them for now and barely leaving the guest room. Extended family members were talking. Her father was furious. Not at me, at the public humiliation of all of it. I told her mother, I'm not trying to destroy Ashley. I'm ending a marriage she stepped out of. Later that night, my attorney confirmed our consultation for Monday morning. He also told me not to engage with her directly anymore. So I made a few simple moves. I changed the passwords on all our shared accounts. Streaming services, utilities, cloud storage. Not to be malicious, just to separate access. Then I sent an email documenting which bills I would continue to pay until temporary agreements were in place. I wasn't reacting emotionally. I was closing a contract. And for someone who always accused me of being too logical, she was about to find out exactly how destabilizing logic feels when you're the one who ignored it. Monday morning, I met with the attorney downtown before work. I brought everything with me. Screenshots, mortgage records, joint account summaries, the email where she admitted sleeping with him. I didn't dramatize anything. I just laid out the timeline: departure, public posts, admission, notice to leave, documented access for later pickup. He appreciated how organized it was. Clean timelines make clean cases. Since we had no children and both of us were employed, he said it would probably move quickly. Colorado doesn't care about moral theater. Infidelity doesn't automatically mean someone gets financially punished. Assets are divided, debts are divided. Done. That was fine with me. What I wasn't fine with was the new version of events she had started spreading. By Tuesday afternoon, a mutual friend sent me screenshots of Ashley's latest story. Now she was telling people I had emotionally neglected her for years. She said the trip had been her breaking point. She was claiming the affair only happened after she had already decided, internally, that the marriage was over. That detail was strategic. It made cheating sound like it happened after a separation. Except, it wasn't true. The week before she left, we were still sleeping in the same bed. We were still talking about a kitchen renovation. We were still making holiday plans with both families. There was no declaration, no conversation. She just made a decision on her own. That evening, I got another email from her. This one wasn't emotional. It was calculated. She suggested we try to reconcile privately so there wouldn't be any more damage to either of our reputations. She said if we told people this had been a mutual break, things might calm down. She even hinted that if I pushed the divorce too hard, she would have to start sharing more publicly about my emotional shortcomings. That was the first real threat. I forwarded the email straight to my attorney and didn't respond. About an hour later, he called me and said, "Do not engage. This reads like someone realizing consequences are real. Document everything." So I did. Meanwhile, her European distraction had apparently blocked her completely. I found that out because Megan texted me, accusing me of sabotaging something real. I didn't answer. I had already blocked Ashley. Megan got blocked right after. By the end of that week, Ashley was no longer glowing from some life-changing wedding trip. She was back in her childhood bedroom, taking calls from clients who had seen screenshots, trying to hold together a version of events that kept changing depending on who she was talking to. And through all of it, I never raised my voice once. The unraveling wasn't loud. It was administrative. The official divorce filing happened 3 weeks after she got back from Europe. There's something surreal about signing paperwork that reduces 7 years of your life into columns of assets and liabilities. The townhouse, the shared savings, the car in her name, retirement contributions. Everything gets sorted and divided with clinical detachment. Ashley tried one more angle before the papers were served. She emailed and asked if we could meet in person, somewhere neutral, just to talk. She said lawyers only made everything worse. She said we owed it to our history to at least sit down face to face. I thought about it for maybe 5 minutes. Then I asked myself one very simple question. What new information could possibly come out of that conversation that would change my decision? Nothing. The facts were already established. She chose to sleep with someone else during a trip she had framed as a romantic reset for our marriage. She posted it publicly. When I confronted her, she called me emotionally defective. Only after the consequences started hitting did she switch to damage control. So I declined the meeting through my attorney. That same week, something else shifted. Her company quietly removed her from an upcoming campaign she had been leading. There was no public statement, just a reassignment. In marketing, image is currency, and she had gambled hers on a story that fell apart. Mutual friends started pulling away. Some unfollowed her. Others just stopped interacting with her completely. Not because I campaigned against her. I didn't. But people get uncomfortable around visible betrayal, especially when it's documented in high resolution. Through her mother, I heard Ashley was now blaming everyone else. Me for being too logical, the European guy for not standing by her, her friends for not defending her loudly enough. Personal accountability never made it into the script. Temporary orders came through not long after. The townhouse would be sold, and the equity would be divided. Until then, I would stay there and keep paying the mortgage, and that would be accounted for later in the final split. Clean, traceable. When she came by with her father to collect the rest of her things, I wasn't there. That was intentional. My attorney had advised minimal contact. Apparently she cried. Apparently she said I had turned into a stranger overnight. What she never understood was that I didn't turn into anything. I just stopped negotiating with reality. The townhouse sold 2 months later. We accepted a reasonable offer. Not inflated, not sentimental, just fair market value. I signed my portion electronically from my office during lunch, between budget review meetings. There was something strangely fitting about ending my marriage the same way I closed quarterly reports. Ashley and I never spoke during that process. Everything went through attorneys. The money was distributed according to the agreement. Clean break. No dramatic courtroom speeches. No last-minute confessions. About a week after the sale closed, she sent one final email. This one wasn't about logistics. It was about us. She wrote that she never thought things would spiral the way they did. She said she expected me to fight harder. She said my calmness had made her feel replaceable. She admitted that before the trip, she had wanted to provoke a reaction from me. She had wanted some big emotional display. When that didn't happen, she leaned into the attention she got overseas. She said the affair had felt validating in the moment. Validating. She ended the email by saying she hoped one day I would understand why she had done what she did. I read it once, then archived it. Understanding something doesn't mean accepting it. I understand that she confused intensity with intimacy. I understand that she saw steadiness as indifference. I understand that public attention can distort someone's judgment when they're already unhappy. What I do not accept is the idea that betrayal is some reasonable path to self-discovery. I moved into a smaller place closer to downtown. The commute is shorter. The walls don't carry old memories. Work stayed the same, steady, structured, predictable. Every now and then, people still ask me what happened. I always give the same answer. She had an affair during a trip that was supposed to celebrate our marriage. I chose not to stay married after that. No embellishment, no smear campaign. The strange thing is, she was right about one part of me. I am logical, and logic is simple. If someone shows you they'd rather chase validation than honor commitment, you step aside and let them. Everybody got a front row seat to watch her unravel. I just chose not to join the show.